Hi everyone, my name is Corina Rizka Yunda and I'm from R12 class and my NPM number is 2020-1250-0661 and I want to discuss about culture shocks, the stage of culture shocks, what caused culture shocks and how to cope a culture shocks. First of all, what is culture shocks? Basically, culture shock refers into a feeling of uncertainty, confusion, or anxiety that people experience when they are transplanted into a society that's different from their own. Culture shock terjadi ketika seseorang akan pergi berlibur, melakukan bisnis, atau pindah ke sekolah baru, or moving into a new country or city. So, the syndrome arises from an individual unfamiliarity with local custom, language, and acceptable behavior. Perusahaan sering memberikan pelatihan untuk membantu karyawan membiasakan diri dan mengurangi adanya resiko dari culture shocks yang dapat memengaruhi transaksi operasi hubungan profesional dari saat akan melakukan bisnis di luar negeri. Culture shocks happens when an individual leaves their home and goes to a completely foreign location, whether it's there for work, school, vacation, or for a permanent move. The shock can be fairly intense if the two locations are completely different, such as going from a small rural area to a large metropolis in another country. People can also experience culture shock when they move from one place to another within the same country. The feeling is particularly intense at the beginning of a stay abroad and can be tough to overcome. It's important to remember that the syndrome usually dissipates over time as a traveler becomes more familiar with the place, the people, custom, foods, and language become more palatable and comfortable. Navigation of surroundings get easier, friends are made, and everything becomes more comfortable. So next we go to the stage of cultural shock. There are 4 stages of cultural shock. The first one is honeymoon phase. Honeymoon phase is the subject has just arrived in a new environment and is fascinated. All the senses are alert and even the foreign language is understood and spoken better than expected. The subject feels euphoric, energetic, and enthusiastic. Everything is fantastic and the difference between the culture of origin and the new culture are hardly perceived and excused as the defects in the loved person. The next is the rejection stage. The physical tiredness resulting from the previous stage appears. Issues with the physical adaptation process to the target culture are detected. The subject is exposed to more situations of linguistic intercourse where the level of language may not result as good as it was thought at the beginning. Family and friends are missed and a feeling of loneliness and vulnerability hovers around, so that the person feels confused, tired, afraid, rejected, lonely, irritable, vulnerable, and anxious every time one of these situations is faced. The adaptation stage. Once the frustration and feelings of anger subside, people will start to adjust to their new surroundings. Although they may still not understand certain cultural cues, people will become a little more familiar, at least to the point that interpreting them becomes much easier. The acceptance stage. Following this period of adjustment comes the final stage of cultural shock, acceptance. This doesn't mean that new cultures of their value, belief, and attitudes are completely understood. Rather, it signifies a realization that complete understanding isn't necessary to function and thrive in the new surroundings. During the acceptance stage, travelers have gained the familiarity they need to feel more comfortable with life in a foreign society. How to overcome the culture shock? First of all, try to learn about the new country or culture and understand the reason for cultural difference. And don't indulge in thought of home, constantly comparing it to the new land. Don't seal yourself off, try to meet and socialize with the locals. Be honest in a judicious ways about feeling disoriented and confused. Of course, ask for advice and help. So, is culture shock good or bad? Although it may have seemingly a negative connotation, culture shock is normally considered to be a positive syndrome. While it can be challenging, those who are able to resolve their mixed feelings may find it a favorable experience. So, there's a reverse culture shock is generally made up of two parts. The first one is idealization and expectation. When an extended period of time is spent abroad, we focus on the good from our past, cut out the bad, and create an idealized version of the past. Secondly, one removed from our family setting and placed in a foreign one, we incorrectly assume that our previous world has not changed. We expect things to remain exactly the same as when we left them. The realization that life back home is now different, that the world has continued without us, and the process of readjusting to this new condition, as well as actualizing our new perception about the world with our old way of living, cause discomfort and psychological anguish. Well, that's all that I can say. I hope this information can be useful for you guys. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.